Chinese President Xi Jinping has met with Crown Prince of Kuwait and President of Syria in Hangzhou ahead of the Asian Games. The Boon Summit kicks off today in Shanghai, bringing together global financial leaders to discuss the road to recovery and the challenges facing China and the world. China is shoring up support to boost new industrialization as investment in high-tech manufacturing continues to grow. From CGTN headquarters here in Beijing, this is Global Business. I'm Michelle Vandenberg. Chinese President Xi Jinping met with Asian leaders arriving in Hangzhou before the opening ceremony of the 19th Asian Games scheduled for Saturday. President Xi met with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Xi said China is willing to strengthen Belt and Road cooperation with Syria. Assad said Syria highly appreciates and firmly supports the Belt and Road initiative. After the meeting, the two presidents witnessed a signing of bilateral documents, including one on Belt and Road cooperation. Also on Friday, President Xi met with Crown Prince of Kuwait, Sheikh Misha Ahmad Jabr Al Sabah. Kuwait was the first country in the Middle East to join China's Belt and Road initiative. She said China is willing to further develop bilateral ties with Kuwait. The Crown Prince said Kuwait supports and participates actively in China's Belt and Road initiative. President Xi also met with International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach and interim president of the Olympic Council of Asia, Raja Radhair Singh. Expanding the current Belt and Road cooperation was mentioned in both of President Xi's meetings with leaders of Syria and Kuwait. Now, for more discussions on this, we're joined by Chu Qiang, the research fellow of Beijing Foreign Studies University. Professor Chu, so how will the establishment of the China-Syria strategic partnership contribute to the Belt and Road initiative? Are there any specific projects or initiatives under the partnership that will promote cooperation and development within the framework of the initiative?
Well, China and Syria always have a very good friendship ever since thousands of years ago, since Syria and Damascus is a very important trade hub for the Chinese silk and the Chinese product. And nowadays, I think the story still continues. Well, I think from the 2011, Syria has met, series of the destructions during the war. And now it's the end of the war. I think Syria has met some silver lining in here. So I think China and Syria met together are actually fulfilling each other's commitment. China has a Belt and Road initiative, and Syria right now really wants to achieve their eastward project in the future. So I think China and Syria are working together right now can exponentially boost the bilateral trade from 1 billion like 5 years ago to 3 times or 4 times to this year. And also I think Syria, according to my knowledge, from the both sides, the most important sectors they're going to focus on after the signing of the MOU and the agreement will be, first of all, in infrastructure. So I think the number one priority for Syria is to rebuild everything from the war, from the relics. And secondly is energy cooperation. Recently, I think from the Sino-Pac and PetroChina, they have already signed many of the contracts with the Syria counterparts to reboost the local economy from the energy sector, and also digital economy, transportation, and also agriculture cooperation would be also within the discussion. And coming up, China will help Syrian people and Syria country to reborn and refresh from this ashes.
And what are your key takeaways from President Xi's meeting with the Crown Prince of Kuwait? How has their meeting contributed to the Belt and Road initiative?
Well, I think we discussed about this similar situation yesterday when we're talking about China and Saudi Arabia's cooperation. You know, China have a yin and yang kind of the mind of thinking, which is the advantages today help you to grow and flesh. Probably yesterday can be a problem, but also the disadvantage today can also in the future help you to boost your economy and growth. I think Saudi Arabia and Kuwait share the similarity in this. For example, they don't want to depend on their oil income solely in the future, because in the future it's going to be a problem. For example, climate change and also the restructuring of the energy mix all over the world. But also the so-called disadvantage of those Gulf countries, for example, the desert, the strong sunshine, can be that advantage for EV production, for the solar power production in the future. They have a really strong competitiveness in this regard. So Kuwait also want to follow this line of thinking. They want to transfer the whole country from the oil producer to the financial compound, to the transportation hub, and also to the technology-based light industrialization country. So in the future, and also already from now, Chinese enterprises has already been helping Kuwait build the central bank building, stadiums, residential compound, bridges and the roads, and also digital platforms and digital infrastructures. And in the future, all this platform can form a very comprehensive platform to help Kuwait to grow into a more holistic growth pattern.
All right, thank you so much for your insights. Chu Qiang, Research Fellow of Beijing Foreign Studies University for us. The opening ceremony for the 19th Asian Games will take place this Saturday in Hangzhou. The event will blend offline and virtual experiences, including digital fireworks, augmented reality torch tech, and a digital torch relay. Global spectators will also be able to virtually light up the central cauldron for the 19th Asian Games during Saturday's opening ceremony, alongside the real torchbearers in Hangzhou. Currently, the number of digital torchbearers exceeds 100 million, spanning over 100 countries and regions around the world. The Chinese Asian Games delegations also announced swimming world champion Qin Haiyang and the women's basketball captain Yang Liwei as its flag bearers for the opening ceremony. In 1974, the Tehran Asian Games marked the debut of the Chinese delegation on the Asian Games stage. Now, with the aid of AIGC-powered image and video restoration technology, 50 photos and video footage from that year have been restored and exhibited to the public for the first time. These carefully preserved images have transcended half a century, remaining fresh and unforgettable. All of this has been made possible by the relentless efforts of a dedicated technical team.
We are primarily in charge of the technical implementation for this collaboration with the Asian Games. Many of these materials are being publicly shared for the first time. Once restoration is complete, we will exhibit the results at the Asian Games Exhibition Hall.
As Huang mentioned, the restored footage of China's first participation in the Asian Games half a century ago will be unveiled and exhibited for the first time after the opening of the Hangzhou Asian Games. Huang and his technical team have dedicated nearly half a year to make this possible.
A significant challenge lies in the rarity of historical Asian Games data. AI restoration demands extensive data sets for optimal results. This data acquisition posed difficulties. Preserving history without alterations is paramount. For instance, the Chinese team wore red uniforms when they won. Preserving such details necessitates employing more intelligent algorithms, blending historical records with restoration images for optimal results.
Just like Mr. Su Zhibo, who won China's first gold medal in the Asian Games after extensive training, our AI model underwent extensive training as well, utilizing substantial data and computational resources to achieve efficiency and stability. We view ourselves as athletes through this process.
We eventually reached out to the official archive of the Olympic Council of Asia. They also would like to showcase this historically significant, yet lesser-known moment from the Asian Games during its 110th anniversary this year. Through old photos and accompanying stories, they aim to bring forth the path for commemoration and to make this history accessible to all. Like our mission, computing for value beyond computation.
为了无法计算的价值。
The official archive of the Olympic Council of Asia, in partnership with Alibaba Cloud, launches AI restoration of Asian Games archives. Global AI developers are invited to restore Asian Games visual materials, reviving classic moments and supporting the Hangzhou Asian Games.
目前的话呢，应该是已经有超过上万。
We have more than 10,000 participants. They express joy seeing black and white photos turned into these colorful historical scenes, feeling like they're witnessing history unfold. They're thrilled to support the Hangzhou Asian Game in this very unique way.
能够通过这样的形式为杭州亚运会加油。
This restoration weaves together history and the present. AI restoration encompasses not only those black and white photos, but also the achievements of Chinese sports and technology. 张海翔 CGTN 杭州浙江 Province.
Now, for more discussions on how technologies can enhance sports at this year's Asian Games, we're joined by Ding Minglei, Deputy Director of the Department of Comprehensive Development at the Chinese Academy of Science and Technology for Development, a Beijing-based think tank. Thank you so much for joining us. So, in recent years, how have advancements in technologies such as 5G, Internet of Things, big data, and of course AI empower large international sports events, enhancing the overall experience for athletes, spectators, and also organizers?
Okay, yeah, in the era of the digital economy, science and technology and sports are deeply integrated. Large international sports events have become a stage to show the power of science and technology, such as in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Artificial intelligence, AI technology was widely applied during the last year's Beijing Winter Olympics, involving 5G sharing, smart restaurant, self-service sales, smart watching, and others. The upcoming Hangzhou Asian Games will create a meta-universe arena innovation experience. Technologies such as the 5G, Internet of Things, big data, and artificial intelligence provide a variety of intelligence applications and efficient solutions for large international sports events, which not only improve the efficiency, convenience, and fairness of events, but also provide a better spectator experience. The charm of the event is better conveyed to every corner of the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your insights. Really appreciate your time. Ding Minglei, Deputy Director of the Department of Comprehensive Development at the Chinese Academy of Science and Technology for Development.
A global recovery on shaky foundations, rampant inflation, cost of living crises, and climate catastrophes straining national budgets. How can we bolster cooperation to stabilize the global economy? Join CGTN at the 5th Bund Summit in Shanghai. We'll explore how China aims to foster an open global economy, build consensus, and unlock new opportunities. Only on CGTN.
The 5th Bund Summit has just taken place in Shanghai. The event focuses on 4 major themes, that is green development, international finance, asset management, and fintech. Our reporter Olivia He has more from the first day.
As the 5th Bund Summit kicks off, 3 forums are taking place today, each tackling different aspects of international finance. Now I'm heading to the first forum to bring you all the latest updates. The first forum focuses on the challenges facing multilateral cooperation in complex circumstances and the prospects for resolving those issues.
I believe that the most powerful lever to unlock progress on the global challenges that all of our countries face is U.S.-China cooperation, making the multilateral organizations more effective and also working bilaterally.
With central banks around the world announcing their monetary policy decisions one after another in September, the impacts of the so-called Central Bank Super Week are also being discussed at the forum.
This is the first time in history where the Federal Reserve is tightening monetary policy with huge amounts of excess reserves already in the system. That means interest rates have to carry all the weight of monetary tightening. That's why we're having so many other problems, like Silicon Valley Bank going bankrupt, other banks going bankrupt, because they never expected the interest rates have to be raised this sharply this long and still not enough.
As the Federal Reserve continues to raise interest rates, both emerging markets and developing economies are adopting tighter monetary policies. However, the People's Bank of China has not followed suit. In fact, it has even lowered them, resulting in historically low lending rates.
The two other forums discussed promoting expansion of the real economy and driving development through innovation. Participants also talked about how China is making consistent efforts to engage with the global community. Over the next 3 days, the Bond Summit will host over 800 influential figures in global finance, including politicians, business executives, and academic leaders, and they'll engage in in-depth discussions on a range of compelling topics. Stay tuned as I bring you exclusive coverage from the event. Olivia He, CGTN, Shanghai.
This is the first time in 3 years that global financial leaders have been able to gather in person. This two-day event offers them an opportunity to discuss shared challenges and find solutions for a path towards global economic recovery and growth. So now let's cross to my colleague Guan Xin for the latest. Hi there, Guan Xin. So what were the main topics on the first day of the Bund Summit?
Hi there, Michelle. On the day one of the Bund Summit 2023 witnessed engaging discussions on various critical topics. The morning session started with a focus on the challenges and prospects of multilateral cooperation in the current complex global environment. And Robert Rubin, former U.S. Treasury Secretary, emphasized the need for greater cooperation between China and the U.S. He acknowledged the complexities in the bilateral relationship, but said China-U.S. cooperation is imperative to address major global challenges like climate change and economic stability. And Jean Pisani-Ferry, Senior Fellow at the Bruegel Institute, raised the questions about the future of global governance and said policymakers must consider how to evolve the post-World War II framework. And the subsequent session analyzed the implementation and outcomes of monetary policies in major economies of the past few years, while experts shared their insights on the lessons learned from these policies. In particular, the spillover effects of the monetary policies of the U.S. Fed has been extensively evaluated. And IMF First Deputy Managing Director Gina Gopinath also made a speech in the morning. She outlined major headwinds facing emerging market economies and suggested policy reforms to drive growth. And in the afternoon, the focus shifted to China's economy, from empowering the real economy and building a science and technology innovation financial system to high-level financial opening up, engaging in international cooperation. Experts highlighted the importance of institutional opening as a core task for China's high-level opening up. And last but not least, it also focused on enhancing the status of Shanghai as an international financial center. And they discussed the opportunities presented by the Shanghai Free Trade Zone and explored how to align regulatory capabilities, the business environment, and the financial ecosystem to elevate Shanghai's international financial center status. Back to Michelle.
All right, thank you so much for the update, Guan Xin, for us in Shanghai. Jeffrey Schalt, a senior fellow of Peterson Institute for International Economics, has stressed the need for global efforts to tackle emissions. In an exclusive interview with CGTN's Global Business, he said China and the U.S. should work together to support related green innovations.
We need a global effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And there's been substantial innovation in many countries. And since the United States and China share the goals of reducing global warming, we should be working together, or at least cooperatively, to try to support new innovations in green hydrogen.
A senior global banker has said China's financial opening up will present huge opportunities. Speaking to CGTN's Global Business, Benjamin Hung, Standard Chartered's CEO for Asia, also expressed his optimism that the next decade will be Asia's era.
Yeah, of course, China is such a big economy, and with the opening up of China's financial system and capital markets, that will present huge opportunities. Now, fundamentally, I think the world remains very underweight China. China accounts for 18% of world GDP, but the amount of financial assets being allocated to China is anywhere between 3 to 4%. So still significant underweight. Likewise, China's also very underweight the world, right? The amount of financial wealth that's being accumulated right now, it's fundamentally primarily in China, and it has got to find its way to diversify into the global, I would say, financial instruments. So that inflow, outflow dynamics will be structurally very, very positive. On the top of that, you also have the currency play, which is around RMB, which obviously right now it's still nascent, but the prospect of its growth is actually very, very promising.
What are Standard Chartered's views when it comes to the growth opportunities here in Asia?
First of all, I think Asia is presenting huge opportunities. As a matter of fact, I think the next era, or next decade, will be Asia's era. Fundamentally, not only is Asia presenting more and more growth delta, I think next few years Asia will be growing 2x of the Western world, but more importantly, Asia is becoming of the size and scale that will contribute significantly to the proportion of world growth. If you look back maybe 30 years ago, only 1 out of the top 5 countries in the world is from Asia. Today, it's 3. If we want to fast forward another 10, 15 years, 4 out of the top 5 will be from Asia. So that engine of growth will become very, very significant. And when it comes to Asia, then what we see is Standard Chartered's network is actually very, very strong. As a matter of fact, second to none. So to be able to capture and deliver solutions to our clients is something that we are really eyeing for.
China is shoring up support to boost new industrialization with more policies set to consolidate the country's economic recovery and develop an advanced manufacturing sector. At an executive meeting of the State Council, the need to promote the transformation and upgrading of traditional industries while expanding strategic emerging industries was highlighted, as was the need to strengthen the use of digital technology while accelerating the development of advanced manufacturing. Now, for more discussions on this, let's bring back Chu Qiang, Research Fellow of Beijing Foreign Studies University. So, Professor Chu, so how is the progress of new industrialization going to contribute to the goals of steady and high-quality economic development? And what are the key strategies and initiatives that's being implemented right now?
Well, everybody knows China are the labor-intensive industry in about 20 years. But right now, China really want to upgrade and shift the gears of its industrialization to be greener, to be faster, to be more efficient, and to be smarter. And right now, China has adopted many national policies to prioritize the development. In the financial sectors, we have prioritized some special loans towards the tech-savvy industries. Many of them are actually SMEs. They do not have sufficient collaterals to borrow money, so they need the support from the financial sectors, and the government makes sure that happens. And also from the policy sectors, many government and the government branches are helping those enterprises and R&D institutes, for example, from the central government to local government. We help them to set up the office and a research center in the industrial park and a compound for a very, very favorable price or even for free. And also, we try to leverage international cooperations. China are not doing this alone, and you'll be seeing China been partnering with Belt and Road countries, partnering with developed nations in Europe, in Japan, and South Korea, and etc. You will see, for example, for China's state station, the space station, you see many countries' participation. And I think this result are not only benefiting China, but also the rest of the world. This year, we've been seeing catastrophe happening along with the climate change. We see drought happening in the Middle East and North Africa. We see tornadoes happening in ASEAN nations. You see Chinese technology, Chinese equipment, and Chinese digital devices are all going there in the first place as soon as possible to help out. So this progress of industrialization actually is benefiting everybody in this world.
And what is the current status of China's green transformation and the development of digital technologies, two very important sectors? How are these two aspects contributing to the advancement of new industrialization and enhancing the competitiveness of China's manufacturing sector?
Well, like just I mentioned, I think two key words here is China really wants to make the Made in China greener and smarter. Therefore, they can be more efficient and also to be to be more faster. So if you take a look at the penetration of the China's digital economy, probably right now is more than 48% of the whole GDP in China. Is about 50 trillion worth of Chinese yuan in the whole economy, and that's just we're talking about the direct effect. And if we're talking about the indirect effect, I think the penetration of the digital economy in the all Chinese GDP is about more than 90%. And also the Chinese use of the green energy in our energy mix is more than, actually right now is more than 50% already by the end of this year. So which means 50% of what's made in China are using green energy, very efficient, very low carbon, and contributing not only to the world demand and the consumption, but also contributing to the world carbon reduction. And also you see everywhere, not only in the high-tech sectors, not only in the tech-savvy industries, but also if even you're wandering around the Chinese rural area, you will find in rural China, the farmers, the old man and the young people are actually using the digital device, try to use the e-commerce platform to shop and to ship all of their product all over China and even to the outside world.
Definitely.
So the penetration is really, really.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for your insights. Really appreciate your time. Qu Qiao, Research Fellow of Beijing Foreign Studies University. CRRC is the world's largest supplier of rail transit equipment, and the Chinese firm provides vehicles to metro systems across Argentina. That includes equipping a new energy passenger line built in Jujuy, a province in the far northwest of the country. CGTN's Zheng Yibing has the story.
Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, boasts a well-established metro and light railway system.
It is the Square of May in the center of Buenos Aires. It is also the center of the metro system that links to the different parts of the city. And some metro cars running here are from China.
I accompanied CRRC's Yang Liheng to the line where China's metro cars have been running for about a decade.
And now you can see the interior of the train. It's very illuminated with LED, and you have the dynamic map to show you, all the stations, right? It's pretty much like we use in China.
Yang says he's proud. These metro cars have been serving the city's residents for some 10 years, and the passengers also praise the development.
The new cars, they are improving the accessibility and the relationship with passengers who ride bikes and not the casual rider who sits and keeps quiet. And I think it is very nice.
Thank you. Argentina is extending its railway networks to remote areas, including Jujuy, a province in the far northwest. A 42-kilometer-long line under construction is nearly finished there, and Chinese new energy trains are set to operate on it by the end of the year.
The train from CRRC, which is a very important train for us, an important train for the world actually, because it's the first one with batteries, impulsed by batteries, lithium batteries.
He says he believes the project will enhance the quality of life in the region. During my journey across the country, there were certain to be more stories of cooperation, as well as the impact they are having on communities on the ground. Zheng Yibing, CGTN in Argentina.
And that will do it for this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michelle Vandenberg in Beijing. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.